Which Eagle that struggled in 2023 is most likely to bounce back and have a good to great 2024? I think it's a good starting point of the conversation today. Other things on the agenda: Sixers smoked in Phoenix last night. Shohei Ohtani gambling. We got a problem in baseball. Is this the 2024 Pete Rose situation unfolding? We got lots to talk about. We're taking your thoughts and opinions on all of it live in 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. We are live, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You know the drill. Hit those like, share, subscribe, retweet buttons. Wherever you are watching, hit those buttons to help make sure we spread the word, get as many people interactive with the show. I'm your host, Phil Stiefel. As always, you can find me on all social media platforms at Beard and Knowledge. If I'm there, if I'm on it, that's how you find me, at least for now, until I decide to change it to the Scruff and Knowledge. Ah, damn. Sun glare coming in fast this morning, guys. We got lots on the agenda today. I really want to talk about bounce backs because I think if we figure out who is going to have the best bounce back in 2024 for the Eagles, it really can help us in determining who we should be drafting. It should help us on figuring out who, Howie Roseman should target next. All those things. So we are going to talk about that today. If anybody wants to talk about Philadelphia 76ers versus the Phoenix Suns last night, please let me know. But I really don't think anybody wants to talk about that. I know I didn't stay up to watch the game, so I got very minimal knowledge on what happened last night. But it is what it is. If you want to talk about it, we'll talk about it. And of course, I don't think we can have a show today without bringing up the Shohei Ohtani situation that is still unfolding in Major League Baseball. Um, it's going to be a big story. There's going to be a lot that's going to come out about this story. So we're going to talk about all of that today as well. The little we know about Ohtani so far. I know if Marky Mark is watching, he'll say, "I told you so," but we'll cross that path as we talk about it. Eric Stewart, what is up, my man? Bradberry will definitely bounce back. This is an unpopular opinion, but it's one that I don't disagree with, Eric. I have brought this up many of times with a better defensive line, better linebacker play, uh, keeping Bradberry and hoping for a bounce back from him is probably the smarter move from Howie. I have to shift my chair a little bit here. Can't really see with that sun glare right now. It's a smart move to bring Bradberry back and just hope because you're still going to draft and work with all these young cornerbacks that we got. Rogers, Ringo, Ricks, maybe McKinsey or somebody else in the first or second round. You have Bradberry on a short leash. If he bounces back, great. If not, you've got the young guys ready to take over. I am very, very on board with Bradberry having a bounce back year. I know it's unpopular, but I do. Good morning, the stubble of knowledge. I see what you did there. Yeah, funny stuff right there from you. What is up, Mitchy Poo? Tobias Harris had a hell of a game last night. Did not commit a single turnover last night. Mitchy Poo. Shout out to Patty Bernard from EOP, the Gobbler. Dude doing post game shows at like 2 a.m. in the morning. What's up with that dude? The bald knowledge? I am not bald. There is hair there. There is not a lot of hair, but there is hair. Yes, and it is not NCAA tournament kickoff. It is March Madness. And, it's funny. We talked about it yesterday, and I brought up my, or was it yesterday or was it 2 days ago when I had Mike Huffer on, and it was 2 days, it was Tuesday. I talked about the guys that were not going to their NIT tournament, and I just saw an interview with a coach that's in the NITs. I forget who it was, and they asked him, why are you going when other teams said no?" He said, "It's about teaching these kids about competing and following through with things." And it completely goes against everything that Rick Pitino and all the teams, the 7 teams that have said, "No, we won't go to the NIT." I also saw somebody, I think it was Tom Izzo, it might have been Calipari, one of the big time NCAA coaches that are left out there, saying how they want the NCAA March Madness bracket committee, bracketology, whatever, to stop giving automatic bids to the winners of mid-major conferences. They have to earn it better. And I thought that was just the worst thing I have ever read. What makes March Madness exciting is the mid-majors maybe upsetting the Valparaisos of the world, the Davidsons of the world, the Montana States, or the the Middle Tennessee, Oregon Duck State, Conference Community College St. Mary team. That is what makes it special. And the big teams, the big schools are just, if you just make it just straight up bids, period, it'll just all be a money grab, which it already is, but it'll just be even more of a money grab. And you'll have 12 and 14 win teams getting in because they play in stronger conferences. It was a terrible idea. But March Madness does kick off today. What used to be one of my favorite days of the sporting year, I'm just meh on it right now. Bradberry, no, no, no. Well, I've run 2 different polls on Twitter after yesterday's show. Who is most likely to bounce back and who is least likely to bounce back? Okay. James Bradberry. So between the 2 polls, we've got almost 350 votes between the 2 polls so far. All right. The most concerned with not bouncing back, James Bradberry squeezed out a victory. He was behind Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis, and other were the options. James Bradberry got voted 45% to 36% Nakobe Dean. Only 6% don't think Jordan Davis will bounce back. Now, on the least concerned, most likely to bounce back, Jordan Davis dominated that poll with over 70% of the votes. Dean and Bradberry, 13.8, 12.2, neck and neck there. So the people definitely are not confident in James Bradberry. The people are not confident in Nakobe Dean. I left the door open for other names to be voted in, and few names were voted in. We're in the minority if we're fans or pro James Bradberry at this point. That's a very strong minority. Very strong minority right now. Someone asked to take a picture. Did their camera break when they went click? I'm just curious, Mitch. I'm just kidding with you. The only reason to watch is the David versus Goliath thing in the tournament. Exactly. Teams like Butler, schools like Butler, have made their complete reputation off of March Madness. There's athletes out there that played on these small schools. That's their time to shine. Then when they're done March Madness, they go get a job at a car dealership or an accounting office. That's it. Can't take that away from them. It would be the dumbest thing ever. And I don't know. I know Tom Izzo was involved in the conversation. I think maybe Calipari said it, and then Izzo agreed with him on it. I'm a huge Tom Izzo fan. I would be extremely, extremely disappointed if they did away with the mid-major conference, automatic bid situation. I really would. Nakobe Truthers Unite. Nakobe Dean did not stand out in the polls I ran yesterday, K1, much. In the fact that people confident in him and the people that are not confident in him. People that are not confident in him, he was actually leading that for a little while until Bradberry overtook it. See, the thing is, if you're confident in Nakobe Dean, And maybe linebacker's not as important of a position as people think. Like, it doesn't have to be the first pick. Maybe it could be the 50th pick, 53rd pick, or whatever it is. You can wait a little longer on a linebacker if you really, truly are a Nakobe truther. If you're not, then you got to make sure you're getting the best linebacker in the draft. The same thing goes with Bradberry. Hell, if you're not confident Jordan Davis can have a bounce back, and commenters have commented on Jordan Davis a lot on this show over the last couple of weeks, not positively. People on Twitter not positive about him. I've been trying to turn the narrative on him that he's still good. If Jordan Davis was the guy that you're most concerned about, you would have to consider the Eagles drafting a defensive tackle early in this draft. See, the thing is, though, I don't know if James Bradberry is washed. I really don't know. I don't think he's as all-pro-ish as he was in 2022. I also don't think he was as bad as he was in 2023. I think there is a middle ground that can make James Bradberry a solid defensive back still in the NFL. I really, truly do believe that, K1, that James Bradberry has a bounce back in him. Now, again, not to 2022 form, but a serviceable form. Also, what thing changed from 22 to 23 that's now back in 24? Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was playing behind James Bradberry. Then he left. James Bradberry fell off. He's back. Maybe there's something to that thread that I'm pulling on there. But the defense as a whole was bad last year. The injuries, the scheme, the changing of the scheme, the rechanging of the scheme. But we're not changing the scheme. But we are changing the scheme. But we're not changing the scheme. But we are changing the scheme. Like, to me, there's got to be room. If all you're doing is taking a massive dead cap hit and cutting James Bradberry, isn't there an argument to be made that it's better to at least keep him with a short leash, see if he's got anything left, see if he can bounce back, and then cut him if you can? Because you've already got the young guys that you've been developing. I think it's smarter to keep him and see if he can bounce back. You have to believe Fangio can mask Bradberry's flaws. It's part masking his flaws. It's part, the scheme making everybody better. The talent will be better, hopefully, on the team, on defense. It's funny. Facebook memories popped up today. Today on this show, last year, we talked about big free agent addition Justin Evans in the secondary. And I said it from second one. He wasn't going to play a vital role. But last year, your upgraded safety was Justin Evans. This year, your upgraded safety was Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Think about that. Last year, you brought in Justin Evans, Terrell Edmonds, and who was the other one? Kayvon Wallace got cut. Sidney Brown eventually became a starter. I think I'm missing one safety in there, along with Reed Blankenship. So you got to think that the talent is being improved. Fangio is not a student of the system. He is the creator of the system. You got to think all those things put in place, K1, will at very least mask Bradberry's flaws. At the very best, help him return to a form that earned him some all-pro level status in 2022. Again, I'm not asking for James Bradberry to be the elite cornerback. I'm not saying I expect Bradberry and Slay to be what we were talking about going into last season. We talked about that it was one of the best cornerback tandems in all of football. Obviously, that didn't play out that way, and it won't get to that way. But what I'm saying is that maybe he can get close. And if not, you've got a short leash because you've got Ricks, Ringo, Rodgers, maybe a draft pick there waiting. Go Birds, Little G, Eagles. I hope they pay. We spent a lot of time talking to Son yesterday. It didn't happen yet. I'm torn on the fence. Kevin Byard. I don't know how I forgot Kevin Byard. He was brought in mid-season, but I can't remember. I can't believe I forgot Kevin Byard's name. I really can't. Sometimes, some mornings, Dan, I just don't have enough coffee in me My brain is not functioning. I need you guys to save me sometimes with names. At least Kevin Byers got a name I can pronounce. Bradberry is afraid to tackle. Interesting comment that you made there, Mitchy Poo. Because the NFL is the rules committee. There's a whole bunch of new rules, and over the course of the offseason, we'll discuss them. But they're trying to do away with the hip fall tackle to protect the legs of the ball carriers. Bradberry is afraid to tackle. And Bradberry actually, multiple times in the second half of the season, I saw him running away from ball carriers, not towards them. Not sure what that was. Maybe he's afraid to tackle. Maybe he just wasn't bought. Who knows? Something off there. But it is going to get harder and harder for defenders to tackle ball carriers in the NFL. Now, I get making the game safer. And these hip tackles that they're talking about outlawing, making them personal foul 15-yard penalties, I get it. You know, you could fall on an opponent's leg or knee, like happened with Joel Embiid, happens to your wide receiver or running back or quarterback. It's a problem. But at what point are we taking away how as a defender do you even try to tackle an NFL player anymore? Because you can't hit above the shoulders, you can't hit below the shoulders, you can't hit at the knees. Quarterbacks you can't hit at all. At what point are they making it too difficult for defenders to tackle offensive players in football? And I get it. I want the game to be safe. I want it to be safer more than anybody. But they're going to make it hard. And somebody like Bradberry, who's already afraid to tackle, they're going to be even more afraid because they don't want to get the 15-yard penalty called on. All you got to do is wrap them up around the chest. The defender starts to move and your hands slide down because you haven't finished the tackle. Then all of a sudden it's a hip tackle. And it's all going to be based off of the eye test of the refs. Now, they are also proposing a rule that coaches can challenge pretty much every penalty called in the final 2 minutes of games, which I actually think is a pretty fair thing to do. I think they should be allowed to challenge pretty much anything. I think pretty much everything should be challengeable, especially in the final 2 minutes of a game. Everything. And I think they're trying to change that you can't, when it's a dead ball, play and you can't challenge anything then. They're doing away with that, which is obviously something that should always have been okay. Like, the whistle blew the play dead. The ref blew the whistle. Play's dead. You can't challenge it. That don't make sense. But it's going to get harder and harder to tackle in the NFL. And you're going to see a lot of people make flag football and touch football jokes as this happens. But it is, if I had a kid that wanted to play football, I'd be teaching him to play offense, not defense, because the defender's job gets harder and harder and the offensive job gets easier and easier. Ringo better be legit starter. Yeah, I think Ringo has a chance. He's going to have another year of development. The defense around him will be better. If Bradberry's gone, right now you probably pencil Ringo in as a starter, depending on the draft. You might have whoever they draft 22 and Keely Ringo as your starter in 2025. By that point, Slay's probably got only 1 year left. Bradberry, who knows? But Ringo, he better be. I think he's capable of it. I think we bring Maddox back and he has a stellar season. You think Avonte Maddox is going to pull a Slay and come back, Davey? I don't know about stellar, but that would be the candidate for who's most likely to have a bounce back season. The thing is with Maddox, Davey, I just can't trust him because he's never on the field. He is injured. And we just brought in another injury-prone player in Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. So you can't help the club from the tub. So if you can't do that, I really am not a fan of bringing Avonte Maddox back. I'm much more content with keeping Bradberry, obviously Slay, running with Ringo, Ricks, and Rodgers, and whoever they draft. McPherson will be coming back from his injury this summer as well. I don't see a room where Avonte Maddox comes back to this team. I don't think they signed another depth defensive back. I don't know if he was a safety or cornerback. I can't Not important enough for me to even know his name off the top of my head. Just go to flag football. Yeah, there'll be a lot of people making flag football jokes as they continue to outlaw different types of tackling and different things. Um, yeah, I mean, nothing we could do about that. That's the way it's. They're trying to make the game safe, and you can't fault them for trying to make it safer, trying to protect these athletes. You look way better with a short beard. You scruffy. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. Finally, somebody says something nice about it. My employees at my shop are like scared to death of me. They say I shocked their system too much with this much of a drastic change. First glasses and then a beard trimming in a 4-week span. Too much for them. Make football more rigged. Yeah, you're gonna start that, and I'm just gonna take it off. They are compensated for their efforts. Just joined. What is up, Bobby? I think Isaiah Rodgers going to go off this year. I'm pumped to have him. I think Isaiah Rodgers, Bobby, is one of the what has the potential to be one of the best Howie Roseman moves in the last 5 years. I mean, he risked so little to bring Rodgers in here, and if he doesn't, I didn't really do anything. Like it didn't cost me anything to bring him in here. If he turns into what Indy thought he was going to be at the end of 2022, we got a steal. He could play inside. He could play outside. He's only 23. My only concern about Isaiah Rodgers, I hate the first year back for a player after they're out a whole year, whether it's injury related or suspension related. It's tough to sit a full year. Now, cornerback, I think that position is easier to get more adjusted back on the fly. But I'm super pumped, Bobby, for Isaiah Rodgers. I really, really am. When does Devontae Smith get an extended Mitchie Poo? I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's going to happen. It might not happen today or tomorrow, but by training camp, it will happen. They are in no rush to get the Devontae Smith deal done. I'm sure Smitty's people and Howie have spoken. I'm sure they're semi-close on the same page, but you got to solve the Son Reddick situation first. You got to solve the Josh Sweat situation first. You got to finish the draft first. Then Smitty will get his deal. I don't know why people are so worried and so up in arms and so focused on Devontae Smith. I mean, you still got 2 years of Devontae Smith because you've got the 5th-year option with his rookie deal. So hypothetically speaking, it can get done next year, next offseason. I think it gets done this offseason. Howie always likes to beat the beat the league to the punch and get guys signed a little sooner. He does that all the time. He's not going to wait till next. He'll get it done this offseason. But it might be training camp. It might be the week before training camp. It might be after the first rounds of OTAs. But it's not going to be anytime. I doubt. I shouldn't say it won't be. I doubt it will be anytime soon because they don't need to. They don't need to get it done just yet. You cannot make football safe. All you can do is make it safer. Absolutely agree with you on that. It's a great point, Doug. And everyone crushes James Bradberry's tackling, and rightfully so. But defenders are making it harder and harder for them to actually tackle, for sure. They signed Tyler Hall. Is that the defensive back that they signed? I don't know anything about him. I saw it pass through my thing. Saw depth move, special team or whatever. If there's something good to say about Tyler Hall, somebody say it in the comments. I know zero about Tyler Hall. Josh Sweat is the one I hope does well, but there were rumors about him slacking off. I saw those rumors as well. But there were rumors about a lot of people slacking. Like the effort was not there for a lot of people last year. And we got to hope that Vic Fangio is going to instill some defense discipline on this defense and that Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore are going to do the same on the offense, but there'll be a little bit more discipline in 2024, a little bit more fight and hard work. Smith can get extended next year. He can. And it might, I doubt it takes till next year, but it will get done. Everybody's freaking out because it's not done yet. Like, it doesn't need to be done. You don't hear Devontae Smith upset. Everybody knows. Everybody that knows that he ain't going anywhere. We don't got to worry about Devontae getting frustrated and leaving because Howie doesn't see value. DeVonta Smith will be an Eagle for a long time, and he just will. Wait, what's going on? NFL making more moves to make the league softer. Um, Nitro, I know we battle sometimes on the positivity and the negativity. I have no problem with the league making it safer. I don't think it's softer. I think it's safer. Okay. I really truly believe that. But on the flip side, yeah, you're playing a contact sport. You know there's a risk for injury when you sign up to play. You are literally taking away almost every single possible scenario way of tackling a player. It makes it difficult. It really does. I don't like the word softer. I prefer to say safer, but at some point, you can't tackle. It will get done exactly. It's gonna get done for more than 100 million. I think you mean 100% done. But it's gonna maybe be more than 100 million, honestly, at this point. There's a very strong chance it's 120, 110, about 60 million. If Calvin really got 50 million guaranteed, you got to think Devontae Smith's worth at least 60 guaranteed. That's what you're looking at a Devontae Smith deal. What are they going to try to ban? They're going to try to ban everything. Right now, the key things that they're trying to change rule wise is the hip tackle, the wrapping up at the hips and dragging you down by the hips because then you fall on the ball carrier's legs a lot of the time. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Having trouble getting my words out this morning. He likes to set the bar. He doesn't like the market to be set. And he already let the market be set by Calvin Ridley. He's not going to wait for a Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase or, Devontae Smith, one of those guys to renegotiate their deals and reset the bar really high. He's going to get the Smith done first. It just doesn't have to be today. It could be over the next couple weeks or months. If football was a safe game, I wouldn't watch it. Yeah, you could still have the exciting football and make it safer. But on the flip side, you can't eliminate every single like right now, you have to like literally stand up straight and have no leverage to wrap up around the chest of a ball carrier. Like you literally got like a 6-inch range that you could hit somebody, and that's it. It's unfortunate. Um, you're gonna see a lot more sloppy defense. I'm thinking if I would. Okay, so you're thinking what you would do. Why are you not happy about them making more than labor workers? Well, the money is a whole different subject, and money is something we have to talk about today. Devontae knows that us fans love him. Devontae ain't worried. Devontae knows he's getting paid. The Eagles know they're paying him. Everybody's happy, except for some people on social media. They're like, "Why hasn't it gotten done yet? Howie, you're failing." Stop. Nitro, we need to hit back at Phil. This is ridiculously. What is? I don't understand. 3-4 is such a unique defense with our guys run stopping. We just need the coverage solid. Yeah. I will say this. I don't like how lazy the tackling is. Wrap up. Well, how do they wrap up? That's the problem. They don't know how to wrap up anymore. That's the problem because everything's a foul. That's the problem. And we're going to see more and more sloppy defense with these rule changes. Booch. The great Booch. Joe Bucci. Eagles' next move. What's today's date? The 21st. We're still 4 weeks out from the draft. That gives them 4 weeks to make a move with Haason Reddick. Not counting a special teamer or a roster filler or a camp body. Booch, like the guy they signed yesterday. Haason Reddick extension or trade happens next. And it's not, I don't think you're going to see another Eagles move till minimum of next week, maybe till after Easter. But then about April 1st, April 2nd, you'll see the Reddick stuff start to circulate a little bit more. I think it's going to be very, very quiet in the next 2 weeks for the Eagles. Nitro, the sport is supposed to be violent. It's supposed to be the toughest athletes on the planet. I don't like it. The days of players like Dawkins is over. There's got to be a common ground, though, Nitro. Can't we have what we had before? And I agree. I mean, I fell in love with football. Hits like Bryant or Sheldon Brown on Reggie Bush. That was a clean hit, too. That would be flagged nowadays, though. He didn't do anything illegal on that. Can't we find a way to keep it exciting, but also make it safer. You can't tell me there's some super genius scientist out there that can't come up with, you know, safer uniforms, safer helmets. They're always trying to make adjustments, but not enough. You're telling me there's not a way to make it safer with still excitement? There's got to be a way to keep it the way you like it, but what they want to do, make it safer at the same time. There's got to be a way. Tyler Hall signed him. Yeah, again, to me, it's a camp body. It's a depth piece. To my knowledge, at least. Bring back the suplex. Yeah, let them out there just suplexing guys. Yeah, exactly. Joe wants to know Bucci on Twitter, Bucci on Facebook. Next, I'm waiting for a Bucci on YouTube comment. That's the next part of the equation. I'm probably out if they get rid of the wrap up that is perfectly safe. These athletes are the money has nothing to do with it. Yeah, they make a lot of money, but you still want to keep them safe. You do. Okay? The wrap up around the hips and dragging them down. It's not, you can tackle them at the hips, but you can't drag them down by the hips is the rule they're trying to implement. What are my current NFC East rankings? 1 Eagles, 2 Cowboys, 3 Giants, 4 Washington. At the draft, Washington may supplant the Giants, and the Cowboys maybe on the draft fall down. But right now, it's still Eagles, Cowboys, Giants 3, Washington 4, in my opinion. I don't even have to hesitate or think. I know the Cowboys are doing terrible. Cowboys fans out there picking fights on social media because they got nothing else to do, because their team ain't doing anything. There still is a lot of talent on the Dallas Cowboys. There is. I'm willing to admit that. So, they won the division last year, so they're still a good team. But that is it. Without hesitation, I had that answer ready for you. Jalen Carter is violent. Fletch retired, but Jalen Carter time to shine. Big time reps. Jalen Carter, we've been spending a lot of time this offseason talking about Jordan Davis. Hell, I think we've talked about Milton Williams more than Jalen Carter. What does year 2 of Jalen Carter? Talk about who's going to bounce back. Who is going to take the next step? I mean, for the first half of the year last year, Jalen Carter was, without a doubt, the defensive rookie of the year. Without a doubt, a scary mother, Then he fell off like the rest of the defense did. After that Buffalo game, nobody was the same on that defense. Nobody. What does a Jalen Carter bounce back or follow-up campaign look like? Fletcher Cox is gone. Aaron Donald's gone. But Jalen Carter's got the skills and the talent, if he puts in a full season of work, to be one of the best defensive players in all of football. At some point in his career, maybe defensive player of the year. That's how scary good and violent Jalen Carter can be. We'll find out, though. Yeah, I just don't know who he is, Hall. Like, I don't have deep knowledge on that guy. So, NFL players need to be paid more than NBA players. How much? Whatever. The thing with the NBA players in the NFL, it's the cap. The hard cap versus the soft cap. I think NFL players' contracts should be fully guaranteed. You would see less guys getting cut, and you would see more guys playing out their contracts. It's funny. The NFL makes more money than the NBA. It really does. But NFL players definitely do get a shorter end of the stick when it comes to money. Baseball players make the most. And then you got this Shohei Ohtani situation that's unfolding that I would love to get everybody's opinion on. I'm just fascinated by this, what to me has to be a cover-up of some kind that's going on in LA right now with Ohtani, his agent, Major League Baseball, and whatnot. If anybody should be upset, NFL players need to be paid like baseball players. Where do baseball teams come up with it? Like, baseball is a dying sport, so to say. People go to the games less. Ratings have declined to an extent. But yet they just keep printing money for these athletes. $700 million for a guy. And then week 1 of the Major League Baseball season, because even though most teams are playing preseason, the Dodgers and the Padres are out in Korea or Japan. I forget where. Playing their first series of the regular season. Yamamoto got smoked last night. Couldn't have been happier about that since he turned the Phillies down. But Ohtani getting busted first for transferring money to a bookie to cover his translator's gambling debts. Then it comes out 3 or 4 hours like, no, I didn't transfer the money. He stole it from me. He realized how wrong what he said was. I'm telling you, baseball is going to try their damnedest to cover this up massively. And then years from now, it's going to come out that this was Otani's gambling debt, and the bookie is taking the fall. Like, that's me having watched one too many movies and TV shows. That's where I'm at. The trust I have in athletes covering these kind of things, I just don't have it. So when they say when they change their story so quickly, well, it was lost in translation somewhere. Will be the excuse. Philly journalists are saying that Reddick will probably get traded after his bonus was pushed back. It gives them more time to make a deal, for sure. It was pushed back to April 1st. It still does not mean one thing or another. I still think they're trying to figure it out. They're still hoping that Haason Reddick accepts what they're offering. They're playing hardball. I don't know why Howie's playing hardball. Choosing of all people to play hardball with, Haason Reddick. You've gone all in. You spent all this money, and you're going to play $5 million of hardball with Haason Reddick. Just give the guy what he wants and get that Super Bowl. Even mids get multi-million-dollar deals. Yeah. Yeah. Booch. The Booch is loose in the comments today, we'll say. Nitro, they're going to make this sport unwatchable. Players know what they're signing up for. If you don't want to play, don't sign the contract. I get that theory. I do. I do get it. I understand it. When you get involved in a sport, you're not a child. You're a grown man. You know what you're doing. You've been playing it your whole life. There's still ways to make it safer and leave it exciting. And sometimes you just got to take some of that risk as a player. Redskins. Did I say Redskins? I think I said Commanders. I hope Phil's employees don't do work today because they might slip or get hot in the kitchen. The kitchen gets very hot in the summertime. I love Frankie Louvu. The rest are role players and Dan Quinn guys. Power slap competitors get paid way too much. What do they get paid? I got to know. I got to know what they get paid. I just saw a video of one of those. They always pop reels of power slap guys. Always pop up on my reels, and I saw one. The dude literally started having a seizure after he got smacked, and it was, damn. Like what? Like what would possess you to get in a slap fight with somebody? I don't care how much money you're getting paid. It makes no sense, that stuff. Dana White is too generous. Dana White is a genius. I saw a video of his first interview from the first pay-per-view he ran when he took over UFC. He looked like such a tool. Dude, he's turned that struggling business into $1 billion empire, man. MMA is not where it is today. Love him or hate him, asshole or not. MMA, if you're a fan, you owe all your fandom to Dana White, honestly. It doesn't become what it is without him. You shoot a questionnaire, a comment chat section theme where we pick multiple choice and it shows the percentage. I don't understand what you're saying there, Travis. I don't know how to put a questionnaire or a poll in the chat. If that's what you're asking for me to put an in-show poll up, I don't know how to do it. Send me a DM if you know how to do it. Wait, people still watch baseball? I watch a lot of baseball. And Nitro, no offense, I know you love your Eagles talk, but yes, we will be talking a lot of baseball next week since Thursday's opening day. Wednesday and Thursday going to be a lot of baseball talk on this show. I don't care how the comments try to overtake it and turn it into a Sixers or a Phillies thing or a Eagles thing. We will be talking baseball next week. No doubt about it. For sure. But I think the Otani thing is bigger than baseball. It's sports related. It's gambling related. No. Baseball seems not as violent as other sports. It's definitely not as violent. For sure. Baseball is a victim of tradition. It's unwilling to change with the times. They're trying to change it. Shorter games, whatnot. But this whole Otani thing, I wish Mark was in the comments, or I wish it was a Monday so Mark could jump on. Because he's been trying to pound into the table for years with me since I've known him that gambling and sports being in bed with gambling sites and the promotion of gambling was going to be the downfall of sports. And this Otani situation, like if you read the timeline of events that happened yesterday, you can't not think that there's a massive cover-up going on between Major League Baseball and the Dodgers. They don't want their $700 million man getting in trouble. What's the Ohtani? So if you missed it yesterday, basically what happened was it came out that Ohtani paid a bookmaker $4.5 million to cover his interpreter's gambling debt. It's extremely illegal for a player to transfer money to any bookmaker. And then it came out later that he did not give that money to the sports bet bookmaker. The interpreter stole it from him after he'd already said he was helping out his friend who was in trouble, and his friend promised not to do it anymore. So I think there's some translation issues between what him and his translator were doing. I think his translator was trying to cover up that Ohtani has a gambling problem. And there was some miscommunication. I don't know. You don't just steal $4.5 million. Why does your interpreter have access to your bank account, Ohtani, if that's the route you're going to go with your story? Now, at least if you would have said, kept to your original story, yeah, I tried to pay off my friend's debt to get him out of trouble, and then I'm going to put him into a rehab to get over it. Yeah, it was illegal to do that, but at least you look like a good person, a good friend. I'm putting my career at risk to save my friend from a problem, from an addiction. But instead, you backtracked and made your story even more unbelievable. Baseball doesn't want their golden goose, their golden child. The guy is going to save the game. $700 million man to get in trouble. This is going to be a massive cover-up. And it might be years till we get the true story. Anyone here know how to do the poll thing, guys? I don't know how to do a mid-show poll. I have not figured that out. If somebody knows, don't tell me in the comments. Text me or DM me. Send me a message on social media. You know a sport that's still violent, exciting? Hockey. What's hockey? Are we going to have positive overreaction Monday? You robbed me last week. Depends on what happens this weekend, Nitro. Depends on what happens. Does the sports world give me a reason to be negative on Monday? If they don't, it might be positive because it's next week's opening day. I wish opening day was like on Monday or Tuesday because then it would be without a doubt a positive overreaction Monday. But my overreactions and positivity will be on Wednesday, Thursday when I'm predicting the Phillies season predictions. When I do my home run projections, my win total projections, etc. for the Phillies, that's when I'll be super overreaction positive. Who's the head coach of the Phillies? Not the same. Yeah, Rob Thompson's still here. He got an extension. All baseball players deserve to be on story so I can watch. Yeah. I mean, the early 90s were exciting. Yet here we are talking about an LA baseball team. We're not talking about an LA baseball team. We're talking about an athlete that got paid $700 million, the richest contract in North American sports history. I don't know if it beats any of the soccer contracts that are overseas. The richest in North America, okay, the four major sports. Involved $4.5 million with a bookmaker. Whether to cover up, whether to help his friend, or because he's got somebody taking the fall for him. If you don't think this is a massive sports story and bigger than baseball itself, this could turn into a Pete Rose thing, but this could also turn into a major thing with the sports books and the gambling and how they're in bed with sports, commercials, advertisements, all that. Like, this is a big deal when it comes to gambling. If it turns out that Ohtani was fixing games, and let me tell you something, if anybody could fix a game, it's a guy that pitches every fifth day, and it's a guy that hits every day. Basically, the Babe Ruth of this generation. He's got to have some influence on games. Claims that his translator wasn't betting on baseball, though. Everything else but baseball. If you don't think this is a huge story that has massive sports, not just baseball implications, then I don't know what to tell you. Well, he's not saying he likes to gamble. First, he's saying, I'm helping my friend that likes to gamble. Then he's saying I was stolen from and I knew nothing about it. Like, he's changed his story so many times that it looks even shadier than it is. it looks like he has a big deal, a big problem. So Brandon Graham wasting a roster spot. Why are we saying that? I love Brandon Graham. I think Brandon Graham is good to go. Last time I played football and had a hip drop tackle was because the guy I was tackling was a big guy. NFL defensive players are fast, but they're small. No more January trotters. I'm trying to figure out what that means there. So you're against the hip tackle thing being banned. Last time I played football, hip drop tackle was because the guy I was tackling was a big guy. So you didn't try to hip drop tackle, and then because the guy was bigger, you slid down and it became one. I think that's what you're saying, Mister. And I think that that is a problem. That it's going to be left up to the judgment of the refs, and refs influencing games and outcomes of games. And there's certain scenarios where it's meant and it's dangerous, and there's other scenarios where it's just the unfortunate law of gravity. You're a smaller guy. You start to fall. You land on something. Looking sharp, Phil. Way to yeah. Hey, it was a mistake. It seems like people like it. The only downside of shaving a very long beard, when you have a long beard, you don't got to shave the neck beard. Do it like once a month, once every other month, whenever. Now, short beard, it's 3 days and I've already got to shave again. The neck beard. Because the neck beard's anybody's got a beard, tell you. The neck beard is the ugliest. Anybody's got a neck beard, it's disgusting. You don't show that shit. Rob Thompson sucks with his fetish for home runs in the playoffs. Like, I'm not a big Rob Thompson fan, but I'm going to give Rob Thompson the benefit of the doubt because we've had a very good run of success. Could have been better, maybe. Has he made mistakes? Sure. But I'm going to try not to negatively overreact to every single detail in every single game of the Phillies this year. I'm going to try to keep an open mind. I'm not going to call for Kyle Schwarber on the leadoff spot for at least 2 days. I'm not going to call out, his bullpen usage for at least 3 or 4 weeks. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to try. No guarantees, but I'm going to try. Bring back Roy. Yeah. So that's safe. Gambling in bed with sports. Here is my shocked face. It's something that Mark, that's been on the show many of times, has talked about. And I've said, I get when people say that, but I also get that sports, billion-dollar organizations, are not going to miss out on that money. There's no way they'll pass up on it. Let Barry Bonds in the Hall of Fame. I agree. When I was younger, when I was in my 20s, late 20s, I wasn't really as sure for this, but I've come and I've grown and I've evolved my opinion. Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens should be in the Hall of Fame. They should. Alex Rodriguez should be in the Hall of Fame. I'm just paraphrasing because I wasn't prepared for this comment, Mister. But the mission statement of the MLB Hall of Fame in Cooperstown is to preserve the history of the game. Those words are in the mission statement of the Hall of Fame. Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens are part of the history of the game. They are some of the greatest baseball players of all time and part of the greatest scandal at the time of all time. You put them in, all right, maybe you put not a separate wing, but you put them in a part of the Hall of Fame and you explain their story, their greatness, but also their downfall. So you can teach younger generations about the downfall and the negatives of what they did. Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame with not an asterisk, but a separate plaque. This is what or a video. This is what he did wrong. Don't do this. It's not a hip tackle. It's the hip drop tackle. So you wrap up a guy around the hips and you pull him down and your arms slide down and you fall on their legs. It causes a lot of knee injury. It's similar to the way Embiid fell on it, just it wasn't a tackle with Embiid. The guy fell. The hip drop tackle eliminates defenders falling on the legs of ball carriers. But it's also something that happens with general motion and gravity and stuff like that. So it's hard to judge if it was done purposely with an intent to harm or if it was just whatever. And if it was just whatever, you don't want to call that foul. But now anytime it happens, if this rule change happens, it's going to be a 15-yard penalty. The nerd is a real thing. The neck beard, you call it the nerd, the beard, the neared. It is. And I hate it. But when my beard's long, I can let it go. It was so when I cut the beard off on Sunday, the neck beard was so long. I actually, with the electric razor, I actually cut my neck up because it was so thick and stuff like that. Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame without a doubt. Um, his scandal was as a coach, not as a player. He is the greatest hitter of all time, should be in the Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, he will not be in the Hall of Fame until he passes away. It's unfortunate that he won't get his moment in the limelight, but he should be on the Hall of Fame, and he should get to do it before he passes away. And he's getting up there in age, so the Veterans Committee better make a decision soon on that. Hip drop tackle is the tackle that injured A.J. Brown last season, and he couldn't make the playoffs. Or better yet, the tackle that injured Terrell Owens the year. Yeah, but see what happened there. Is it completely eliminatable? Like, can you completely eliminate it from the game? You're just making it harder to tackle people. I think if there's going to have to be some judgment made on these penalties, and once you're letting it be left up to the judgment of the ref in the situation, then you're going to piss somebody off on one side of the table or the other. There are the last guys that made baseball interesting, Bonds and Clemens. Yeah. I refuse to participate in this baseball discussion. It distracts from the neckbeard discussion. I'm surprised that people don't want to talk about the the Shohei Ohtani thing. That, with a sport that's has baseball had more scandals than football and basketball over the years? Probably. They've had longer strikes, more work stoppages. Some very controversial stuff happened in baseball. But this is bigger than baseball. And I think it's a massive cover-up. And baseball's just at a point where they're trying to bring in new fans and make it a bigger sport again. And a scandal like Shohei Ohtani, if it turns out that it was really him placing sport bets, and his interpreter said, I knew I wasn't allowed to bet on baseball. So I didn't bet on baseball, but I bet on everything else. I didn't know that wasn't allowed. You can't tell me that this doesn't reek of massive scandal, massive cover-up, and that Ohtani is being protected because baseball can't handle. There's so many of you that don't like baseball. And that's a problem. When I was a kid, I never thought the day would come that baseball would be such a secondary topic. I dreamed about talking baseball all day, every day. One of the reasons I started the morning show, not the number one reason, but one of the top reasons I started a daily morning show was because during baseball season, I could talk baseball every single day. Oh, tonight, Wheeler's going up against whoever. Who do we think is going to win? What should the lineup look like? Every day during my first year of trending in the AM on DSM Media, I did at the end of every show in the summer, I did a preview. 10, 15 minutes of that day's game every single day. Why? Because I love baseball. And it breaks my heart that it's in a spot where so few people like it. The problem is, if this Ohtani scandal becomes what I think it could be, it's going to push even more people away from baseball. Hey, more and more states. I know my man Kyle, the statistician, said that North Carolina, where he lives now, just legalize sports betting. Is it going to come to where we've been climbing this hill of making sports betting legal in every state? And I don't know how many states are now legal. It's got to be pushing 40 states that sports betting is legal in now. Is it going to get to the point that this scandal becomes such a big deal that sports betting becomes illegal again in our country, where they put a stop on it, making it less easy and accessible to people? Maybe. People should boycott NFL. I also recognize we will never do it. Yeah. It's like people say, well, if you're unhappy with the team, don't go. Well, they're like Eagles season ticket holders, TMC. There's like 60,000 people on the wait list for season tickets to the Eagles. If you try to make a statement by canceling your season tickets, one of 60,000 people will back you up or take them from you. I always see you. Isaac Newton has no place in football. Yeah. The problem is refs calling penalties. As long as they are consistent across the board, then there aren't issues. When they miss or call something they didn't call, exactly. Consistency is always the key. And I know one of the rule changes in the NFL that have been proposed, Duck, is about the giving the coaches the opportunity to challenge all penalties in the last 2 minutes of games. Now, you're not going to do it all game long, challenge every single play and whatnot. But I do like the option, giving the coaches the option to challenge a play. The problem is, we already saw they did legalize challenging personal foul, like passive interference calls, for a while, and that didn't last because refs don't like. It's still, even replaying a penalty is still subject to your opinion as the referee, and referees don't like to admit when they were wrong. How many times have we seen refs in all sports make awful calls, blatant awful calls, even that didn't affect our Philadelphia team, and they still refuse after games. No, it was the right call. You got official refereeing, the NBA officials or the NFL officials. We agree with the calls that were made in the games. It's just, it's tough. And I don't know how you fix it. Like in baseball, you can go to robot umps, or you could digitalize all outs in baseball pretty quickly. You could do away with umpires almost completely in baseball. But in football, I don't think you can. Ban Isaac Newton. Yeah, start floating away here. This is bigger than the Hunter a laptop scandal, I tell you. Um, I can't talk politics. Last time I did that, I got 24-minute or 24-hour timeout on Twitter. I don't do politics, okay? Yeah, when I was young, baseball was still America's major sport. NFL was still growing and fixing things. Yeah, and look, I know it's not America's sport anymore, baseball, but the fact that we have spent more time, we are almost an hour into this show. We have spent more time talking about the banning of the hip drop tackle than the Otani gambling scandal is shocking to me. Maybe it's because it's still fresh. Not everybody's read the article and the reporting on it. Maybe it's because baseball is unimportant. Maybe because people just don't care about gambling issues. You know, every player knows, every athlete knows they're not allowed to gamble in sports, in the baseball, in football, in basketball. They know it. And they still do it. And they still keep getting caught. Now, when you have $700 million in your bank account, I think you could pay a few people off and get that covered up. You would think, at least. Just better get your story straight before you start talking to people. So then you have to backtrack and change your story. Then you got to backtrack and change it. Then you backtrack again and you change it again. But it just goes to show that baseball is so far on the back burner of people's minds. A week from opening day, well, unofficially, officially opening day was 2 days ago over in South Korea, I think, or Japan. That a hip drop tackle potentially being banned is more important to a conversation than the Otani scandal. I'm just going to call it the scandal because I don't think we know the true end all be all about it. Did the media cover up the? We're not going to talk about that. Baseball boring. Scandal is not, though, right? Ban marijuana cigarettes in Pennsylvania. They are technically illegal in PA unless you got a medical card. Just saying. It should be fully legalized in PA, but it's not. It's only medically legal. UFL football, I wish we could ban Isaac Newton. We could have flying cars by now. We'd all be flying. We'd all be Superman. It is because baseball is less and less relevant. But gambling is becoming more and more relevant. Hell, we've got Isaiah Rodgers on the Eagles, a kid that is coming back from a year-long suspension for gambling in the NFL. I don't even know off the top of my head what Isaiah Rodgers' gambling situation was. Was it on other sports? Was it on football? I don't even remember. All right, I don't even know. Okay, but gambling in sports is becoming a bigger deal. Gambling in general is on the floor. You cannot turn on a TV channel, sports channel or not, and not see a gambling commercial every cycle of commercials. You just can't. Gambling is such a big deal in our country. It's a big part of our economy, honestly, in this country. That's what's shocking, that is not a bigger story today. not baseball itself. We aren't all degenerate gamblers, Phil. Some of us just want to ponder the nature of gravity. You don't have to be a degenerate gambler to discuss what Ohtani did, how badly he covered it up. Will gambling continue to have more issues on sports? Joe Bucci likes baseball. He's saying trade Taiwan Walker and sign Montgomery, Phillies. Look, Taiwan Walker cannot be traded. Nobody. And you know what, Joe? And you may have done it. I don't know, Joe. I'm just randomly guessing here. But a lot of people last year laughed at me when I said Taiwan Walker was a bad Phillies signing. No, he's great. He's going to be a great number 3. It's a backup plan in case Aaron Nola doesn't stay. It's this. No, I'm like, it's a bad sign. Okay. And everybody laughed and scoffed at me. And now he didn't play once in the playoffs. He was benched for the entire playoff run last year. And now he stinks again. And yes, Montgomery should be a Philadelphia Philly. He should be. By the end of the day. Will he? I don't know. But he should be. And if he is, we will lead tomorrow's show off with that news. I think he was gambling on the site. Yeah, so Isaiah Rodgers, okay. So he didn't bet on football, but he placed bets on other sports on a Colts facility property, which is illegal. So, again, why? Like, you know the rules. It's going to become a bigger and bigger issue. And I'm sure there's more and more people in sports, not just baseball, in sports breaking the gambling rules that is let on. It is. I mean, gambling is still a big deal with referees and umpires and stuff like that. You know, we're constantly going to see more and more big time stories like this come out. And I don't know what the end of it is. Is it outlawing gambling? Go back to having to have a bookie to place bets? Maybe. I don't know. Phil media. I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to be media. Phil covering up the laptop. Got it. Yeah, I'm all about cover ups. I'm fascinated with cover ups and government conspiracies and stuff like that. I don't really talk about it much, but I love it. I don't mind the gambling ads. It's all the prescription drug ads for medical conditions I never heard of. Yeah, take this medicine. Side effects. You may die, but take this medicine. Don't worry about the side effects. I love all the side effects at the end of those commercials, K1. They make me laugh a lot, a lot. The second you backed gambling as a sports league, this was going to happen, where your integrity and the integrity of the sport are in question, and people don't care. See, I think people do care because they love the story. I don't care that the NFL or the NBA or Major League Baseball is in bed with gambling. Like you hear when you watch a Phillies broadcast, you hear Tom McCarthy talk about the lines. Phillies are now minus 2.5 to win this game at minus 110, or now it's plus 220. You know, I get it. I'm okay with that. I think maybe an example's got to be made of somebody, make them realize a 1-year suspension for Isaiah Rodgers isn't, going to scare Shohei Ohtani away. A ban, like a 1-year suspension or a lifetime ban for Shohei Ohtani, that might scare some people away from making those mistakes. If a sports league is willing to ban a prized athlete, but they would never do that. The sports league, then you don't have the moral high ground to punish anybody. Look, I don't know. I'm torn on it because I don't blame the NFL for getting involved. I don't blame the MLB for getting involved. NBA. I don't blame them. There's money to be made. They're businesses. They're going to do it. But if you are an employee of said business, it's different in baseball. You get an employee handbook. You sign a piece of paper at your new job that you're going to read the rules in the handbook, and you're going to abide by the rules that are in the handbook. You sign that contract. Athletes sign contracts that say they are not allowed to gamble. They go in football. I don't know what baseball calls it, but in football, they have the rookie symposium. On day one, they spend time talking. Do not gamble. Here are the rules. They still do it. To me, I think the players need a bigger example made of somebody that maybe that scares people away. Maybe. Maybe Big Pharma will develop a drug to treat compulsive gambling. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Doubtful. If everyone said this Super Bowl will go to overtime and Chiefs will win, maybe they should look into the mirror. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, the script and stuff. You guys lose me with the script and stuff. I love my government conspiracies, but I'm not buying into the scripted NFL. Sorry, scripted sports. I'm just not doing it. This is not the WWE. This is not AEW. This is not WrestleMania. It's not. It's not scripted. Now, it might be influenced at times. Scripted and influenced are two totally different things. Do I think that maybe someone might tell a referee, let's try to favor this team and help them along? Yeah, sure, maybe. But I don't think there's a script out there. Taylor Swift was a deep state payout, Phil. Haven't you heard? What? Oh, I thought it said payout. Maybe I need stronger glasses. Um, why are we bringing Taylor Swift into the conversation? Thought we were over Taylor Swift. Thought we were over it. Guys, you're watching Trending in the AM. A little late on the reset here. Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. We're live. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Like, share, retweet, follow, subscribe. Drop your comments. Everything is on the table. Eagles, who is most likely to bounce back from a bad 2023 and 2024? Shohei Ohtani. Was he gambling or not? Is it a cover-up or not? Sixers, Suns. Sixers get smoked on the West Coast to start that West Coast trip. I wonder how Mitchie Poo, does he still think they're going to go 2-2, like he said yesterday on this West Coast trip? Rule changes in the NFL, the hip drop tackle. All this is on the table, guys. I'm your host, Phil Stiefel, always. But make sure you hit that like, share, subscribe, super chats, whatever you guys want to do to help me out. Greatly appreciate it. Q and Taylor, Phil, you watching any of tournaments? I will put March Madness on the TV today at the shop. I will. I am not emotionally invested whatsoever in March Madness anymore. I have not even filled out a bracket. And it feels so like freeing. I don't know. Like it feels so good to not have, like most years I've got bets, I've got parlays, I've got 6 different brackets for $25 each in pools. I got none of that. I'm free. My lack of watching college basketball, and even up to last year, like even though I didn't watch college basketball last year, I still tried to, and I still financially got invested in March Madness. I got nothing. I have zero invest. I placed a $2.50 bet on Auburn to win at almost 28-1 because of what Michael Huffer said on the show on Tuesday. That is it. That is my only emotional attachment to March Madness, and I feel great about it. I will watch more of the Valspar Championship this week. Doug Gibb winning the event. I will watch more of that than I will March Madness this week. And honestly, it feels rejuvenating. Like I feel like refreshed and like I feel good. I'm glad to have no emotional attachment this year. I no brackets for me, 0 brackets. You know, some people might call me a fraud sports fan for that. This is the first time. My first bracket was Eric Montross, North Carolina, winning the championship. I believe that was 1993. I was in the 6th grade that year at Holy Cross. And I won that bracket. That was my first bracket. So I did brackets from 1993 through 2023. 30 years worth of brackets. The streak's over. I feel great. Feel great about it. Have you ever met an athlete? Of course, Ohtani was gambling. They all have flaws, like all human beings. Then they have money to back their play. Exactly. Absolutely. But maybe making a real example out of somebody like Ohtani in the prime of their career sets the example that it won't be tolerated as much. Athletes betting on sports is equivalent to inside stock market investing. It's a white collar crime. It really should be considered more of a crime, for sure. If for sure, you're young with cash, try to tell a middle class kid with a bit of cash in their pocket what to do. Now magnify. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. The immaturity of young people. Otani's not young though. Otani's 28 or 29, isn't he? Maybe even 30. I don't even know. Otani's older. He should be mature enough to know what to do and what not to do. If you get caught at 20, 21-year old, basketball player, 22-year-old first round rookie draft pick with a lot of money in the bank, all right, I got you. Someone in their 30 years, bordering 30 years old, not the same in my opinion. It is a pain in the ass doing brackets, especially when you don't watch a lot of college basketball. It really is. It's a pain. And, you know, honestly, I could care less that I didn't do one. Like, I really thought, even if 2 days ago, I'm like, I better go on ESPN and do their bracket challenge. Just fill out one. I'm like, you know what? No, I'm done. I'm out. No bracket at all for the beard. None. Or the neared, the neck beard, the neared. No brackets for me. Some may call me a fraud sports fan. Some may call me a fraud YouTube host because I'm not talking about March Madness. And there's some great content out there, with some great stuff covering March Madness. I could have watched it and crammed some session, cram session to get some information. Out. Done. I'll see if my $2.50 turns into like 60 or whatever it's going to turn into. And if not, I care less. Like, it feels rejuvenating not to be involved with it. I was really stupid until I was in my early 30s. Yeah, I mean, well, talking different stupid. Like, I'm still really stupid right now. I wake up and do this with you guys every single day. Just kidding. I still make stupid decisions on a regular basis. But I'm mature enough to know that if I make a stupid decision, I got to live with the consequences of doing it. That's the difference right there. Baseball players, athletes, celebrities, they can get away with this kind of stuff. We can't. They can get away with making stupid decisions that they know are wrong because they got the money to get out of the situations. Phil's bracket streak is greater than Aaron Nola's opening day streak. I haven't really touched on that at all. I mean, I guess I'll save it more for Phillies Fridays on Friday, or also next week as we gear up for opening day. I am 100% okay with Zach Wheeler breaking the Aaron Nola streak. Zach Wheeler 1,000% deserves the opening day nod. And I know there's some Phillies fans that don't like it, but I am 100% on board with Zach Wheeler, not Aaron Nola. Zach Wheeler will be the first starting pitcher not named Aaron Nola to start on opening day since Jeremy Hellickson. Think about that. It feels like a couple decades ago. Aaron Nola has started a lot in a row, but sixth grade, 1993, I believe it was, Holy Cross. The first time I filled out a bracket. I don't even remember who sixth grade teachers were. I remember where the rooms. I can't remember. Hey Phil, what that mean? What does what mean? You got to be more specific with your questions. What does what mean? Are you talking about that we're all stupid? Are we talking about the Phillies? Like, what are we talking about here? I don't know what we're talking about here. I don't know. I'm waiting. Is this mic on? Hello? What do I mean about what? Look, I know it's not a popular conversation. Baseball in general. But I'm just in utter shock. Me talking to you guys is making a mistake. I knew somebody would be offended by it. Sorry. It's not like this. I do this for fun. I could go get a second job. I could sleep in. But I do this. That's my mistake. Don't cry about it, though, okay? Don't cry. Don't cry. Don't cry for me, Argentina, okay? I just think I think that this Otani thing isn't getting talked about enough because not just the fact that baseball is not the priority that it is or should be in the sports world. I think it's not going to be talked about enough because we as sports fans don't have faith that this won't be covered up. We don't have faith that Ohtani will be punished properly for it. We don't have faith that an example will be made and this won't happen again. We've lost faith in our leagues governing the players the proper way. The fact that rule changes, and we didn't get into any of the other NFL rule changes. I've got the top 10 proposed changes to the NFL rules up on another screen. I'll save that up on the screen, and maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow. Other rule changes the NFL is trying to propose. But the fact that a hip drop tackle is a more important conversation point on today's show. We didn't even talk much about what the title of the show was. Which Eagles players are going to bounce back most in 2024. We spent like 3 minutes talking James Bradberry bouncing back or not. Nakobe Dean, truther, bounce back or not. Literally like 5 minutes of this show was spent on that. About 50 minutes on a hip drop tackle and about 20 minutes because I'm forcing it down your throats on Ohtani. Like if you really wanted to break down the segments today, that's how it's going. It goes to show what's important to fans and what's not important to fans right now. And right now, the hip drop tackle is more important to fans. Taking the danger and the fun out of the game is more important to the fans. Bet. We're going to get back into that conversation again. Please don't. What if Boss walks by the office? You know, sucks, man. Then you get caught. Then you're in suspension, timeout mode, trying to watch games. Oh, well, see, I don't have to worry about that. NCAA is March Madness still what it used to be? They used to do articles in magazines and newspapers talking about the drop off in efficiency of workers in the average, American office during the first 2 days of March Madness. Is that still a thing? Do people still take off from work? I'm sure people still do. But there are a lot of people that used to take off and go to a bar and just sit and watch March Madness for like 8 hours straight. Probably got a DUI on the way home. Not laughing at getting a DUI, just laughing at that. It's a bad thing. You should never drink and drive. It used to be me. In my memories today, I spent a day today a few years back at my man Ace's Throwback Sports Lounge. Great sports bar in Hockessin, Delaware. Fantastic. I spent a whole day there just watching March Madness. And it was on my memory feed today on Facebook. Like that, those kind of days are gone. And I feel so liberating knowing that, okay, so let's rank the topics today. I wanted to cover the Eagles bounce back, the hip drop tackle, Ohtani, and March Madness. Okay? I would have thought in my mind, Ohtani would have been the top story. The bounce back would have been second. Third would have been the hip drop tackle, March Madness fourth. March Madness is fourth. But that's not the way it really played out today. That's also why I love this show, because I can set the conversation and I have no idea where the conversation is going to go on a daily basis with you guys in the comment section. I never know. I had a buddy who just sat in the man den on the recliner with a mini fridge right next to him, a hoagie platter in the main fridge, and took off the first week of March Madness. Yeah. I mean, I never did it to that extent, but I always tried to get myself at least Thursday and Friday lunchtime off from the pizza shop. I used to be deadlock set into it. And then I realized it just wasn't worth it. And I just don't have time to watch every single sporting event there is out there. Like, I don't know how these people that cover sports, cover every sport. Like me, I barely got time to watch the Sixers and the Eagles and some Phillies and occasionally a Flyers game. I can't add March Madness into it too. I can't watch college basketball, college football on top of everything else. I still watch golf on top of that. I watch the majors in tennis. Like, I can only watch so much sports in a given day, given week, given year. I don't know where people find time to cover all of this. I don't. And it's fun. It's exciting. And I started the show off talking about it. You know how I read somewhere, I think, I know Tom Izzo agreed with maybe Calipari saying that March Madness should eliminate the mid majors, get automatic bids. And I think it's the dumbest idea. And it would take the little bit of excitement that I have left and completely wipe it out because the mid majors are what makes March Madness exciting. It's funny. Fun fact, March Madness is the biggest time of the year for vasectomy because then you can take a few days off from work right after it while you're recovering. Um, that is, I don't know if it's a fact or not. I'm not going to fact check it at all. I'm just not, and but not shocked. It's one of those weird facts that I didn't need to know. I don't know how you know it, but it is probably very believable. So most media guys subscribe to a highlights package that just go over the impactful parts of the game in like a few minutes. Yeah, I mean they've got to. I can't. I can't consume any more sports, data. I'm at my max. I had to cut something. College basketball, college football were the first two things I cut. True facts. True facts. Well, you learn something new every day. And I feel so much smarter knowing that, and we'll put Big Al's fun fact up there. March Madness, the biggest time of the year for vasectomy. Um, you learn something new. But the fact that nobody wants to talk about Otani, but even less people in this group chat want to talk about March Madness. It's shocking how today's narrative on this show really went. Yes, we discussed this from the Raiders. Eagles are looking for depth at slot cornerback. Absolutely. Um, Tyler Hall, I don't know a lot about him. He's a Jag, just a guy. He's a depth piece. He's a body piece, similar to bringing in someone like a Terrell Edmonds or something like that. They might not even make the roster to start the year. Someone like him. He's going to have to battle in camp to even make the roster, Teresa, in my humble opinion. No guarantees he even makes the team. But I don't know a lot about him. That's just the general idea I'm getting feeling wise from that sign. You need bodies. You need bodies in camp. You got to. I got to finish this cup of coffee. I've drank not nearly enough coffee today to get through what is going to be a long day of a lot of things going on today. But we will watch March Madness a little bit. Fun fact: Shoeless Joe Jackson took money from the bookies, but played very well, but was still charged as part of the Black Sox scandal. Um, I understood it that he never took money, or is that Chip, the third? I forget. I didn't think Shoeless Joe took money. Maybe he did. The Black Sox scandal, you know, was a major deal. Obviously, 8 Men Out, fantastic movie, great cast covering the Black Sox scandal. Big deal. Thoughts on Coots benching? I haven't watched enough Flyers hockey, Joe Bucci, to comment really on it. I can't believe Sean Couturier is not 65 years old. I feel like he's been playing for the Flyers for 30 years now. Um, I don't know the background on why he was benched. Is he playing that bad? Did he rub somebody the wrong way? Like, I don't know. Like, I have not watched enough Flyers hockey to know why Coots was benched. But the fact that he's only like 29 or 30 years old is shocking to me because I feel like he's been around for like 4 decades with the Philadelphia Flyers. It was Chip that did take the money. Okay, gotcha. It's been a while since I thought about that. I knew there was one guy that got banned that never took a penny. Um, yeah. What happened there? I played high school football with one of the Eagles players' dads. That's crazy. We're getting old. We're all getting old for sure. You know what gets me? All these shows are nothing, but Eagles Philly sports fans should demand better. What? What are you saying? These shows are nothing. It's a cute show though. Maddie B. Your show's pretty cute too. But Philly sports fans should deserve better. They do deserve better. They should demand better. Everybody loves to complain about WIP or the fanny fan addict all the time and garbage content. I hear that all the time. Garbage content and clown and nitwit. I hear that a lot describing the mainstream shows. Yet there are 4 million better options out there with hard, working, hard driven, motivated people trying to carve out a reputation. Yet people hate the mainstream people, but still go to the mainstream people. That's always been my number one goal, to give the alternative. And hopefully more people find the better alternative, which is trending in the AM. I do say so myself. Maddie B might think it's a cute show. I think it's a damn good show. You never know what we're going to talk about. I let you steer the conversation. If Maddie B wants to change the conversation, he is more than welcome to. Not with 3 minutes left in the show today, but, in general, he could steer the conversation. I let you guys choose the fact. Fun fact, Pete Rose never bet against his Reds and could prove it with his losses from baseball betting. It still doesn't eliminate the fact that Pete Rose should still be in the Hall of Fame because he bet as a coach, not as a player. He's the best hitter of all time. Yeah. But Pete Rose, you would think the Pete Rose scandal situation would tell some of these guys, look, if they're willing to ban Pete Rose, maybe it's just too far back for people to be worried. The Ohtani thing it's going to be in my crawl, and I can't wait to read more about it. No, Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. You don't think he should be? Or no, you're agreeing with me, Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. Look, I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. You can't have a Hall of Fame that mission statement says to preserve the history of the game. Pete Rose is part of the history of the game. Barry Bonds is part of the history of the game. Roger Clemens is part of the history of the game. Shoeless Joe Jackson is part of the history of the game. Put them in the Hall of Fame and tell their story so that maybe by explaining the story and teaching kids about the story of what they did was wrong, maybe less people would do it instead of trying to hide the story. He should be in the Hall of Fame, without a doubt. I used to not think that about all these guys that are banned from Hall of Fames in sports. But if your mission statement is to preserve the history of a game, why eliminate the part of the history that you're embarrassed about? Like it really that really irks me with the story part of it, because they're willing to turn a blind eye to certain things. They're willing to hide what makes them look bad, but yet then they want to talk about this great history. Pete Rose was one of the reasons I became a Phillies fan. I think he should get all of his flowers, but properly report it what happened. Pete Rose, his end of his career was really at the beginning of my baseball career. Mike Schmidt, who made me a baseball Phillies fan, but even that, born in 1980, my first game was in 1986. Pete Rose, Mike Schmidt, I really caught the end of their careers as a baseball fan growing up. Anyway, guys, it's 9:30. It's time to wrap this shebang up. We'll be back tomorrow. Who knows? We'll talk Eagles. We'll have Phillies Fridays with Kylie tomorrow. We'll talk about some Phillies-related things. I got a Phillies thing that I want to bring up tomorrow that even though gambling or, the gambling thing and nobody wanted to talk Ohtani, even though it's bigger picture, there's a Phillies thing that I want to bring up that's kind of bigger picture. It's the Bryce Harper. People complain that Bryce Harper has too much say in what ownership does for the Phillies. Is that something in sports we want or not? Do we want Jalen Hurts going to Howie Roseman and saying, I want this? Do we want Joe Embiid going to Daryl Morey and saying, I want this player? Because that's what Bryce Harper does. And it's a really divided conversation. So I want to talk about that. We'll talk Phillies, whatever else Eagles related comes up. Maybe some March Madness stuff. Who knows what's on the agenda tomorrow? We'll be back tomorrow, as always, 8 a.m., Monday through Friday. Like, share, subscribe, retweet, follow. Enjoy March Madness. Doug Gim winning the Valspar Championship. Everybody have a great day, and go Birds.